Lay down and relax. I shall read to you. Ah, you came back. That's good. Because tonight I am going to tell you something Rome has never admitted out loud. Rome was not built. It was summoned, not by spell, not by God, not even by fate, by longing, before emperors, before marble, before blood. Something old waited in the river mist, and when the twins came drifting downstream in a broken little basket, the city opened its eyes. Settle your breathing, little human. Let your world grow smaller, because now you are going somewhere very old, very quiet, and very alive. Before you drift too far into dreams, little human. A small favor from an old dragon. If you've enjoyed resting here beneath my wings, consider subscribing to my hoard of stories. Each new believer helps me gather more treasures and avoid ravaging cities for loot when I'm low on funds. I'm retired now, and my back makes sounds that haunt even me. Long before Rome became a roar in history's mouth, it was only a murmur beside water. The Tiber flowed with a patience even dragons admire. It carried leaves, bones, dreams, and sometimes secrets. I watched it often back then, from the hills, from the clouds, from the slow drift of ages. I knew something waited there beneath the reeds, something not human, not divine, but hungry in the quiet way only cities are. And then the river changed. Its current shifted. Its breath deepened. And fate arrived in a basket. Romulus and Remus were not meant to survive. Their uncle believed fear made him king. So he ordered them gone. A basket was easier than a blade. The river would do the rest. Except the river, old as I am, does not obey men. It turned gentle. It carried the twins through shadow and moonlight until the water whispered them into the roots of a fig tree. And then the wolf came. She did not stalk them like prey. She did not flinch like fear. She watched them like memory. Her fur stirred with fog. Her eyes held storms. She circled the basket once, twice, then lay down rose. Warmth followed, and the world blinked. If I had not been there, I would have thought humans exaggerated the story. But I saw it with eyes older than mountains. I saw hunger choose mercy. I saw instinct cradle prophecy. When at last a shepherd found the boys and carried them away, something of the wild followed them. Not fur, not claw, fire. They grew unlike other boys, restless, sharp-eyed, loud with dreams. They chased goats into cliffs and challenges into bruises. They laughed when they bled. They wrestled storms. The village whispered, and fate listened. When truth found them, when they learned their blood was royal and their lives were taken from it, they stood like something waking from sleep. They overthrew their uncle. They raised their grandfather. And then they turned on each other. Not with hatred, with hunger, with vision, with two futures that would not share the same ground. Romulus dreamed of stone. Remus dreamed of shadow. They stood on different hills and watched birds like children, pretending to see gods. Except that sometimes humans really do. Romulus saw more birds. Remus scoffed. Then Remus jumped the low wall Romulus had begun to build. A joke, a challenge, a child's cruelty. But Rome was already listening. Romulus struck, and Remus did not rise. I have seen brother kill brother since before your oceans learned their names. But this one anchored the world. Romulus knelt in blood. The city inhaled. Rome was born not with a cry, but a silence. Romulus did not leave. He built, and built, and bled. Rome drank conflict and breathed stone. It learned hunger first, then law, then power. Kings came. Kings fell. The Republic rose like fire in dry grass. The Empire conquered like sleep overtaking a body. Rome learned every language because it swallowed every mouth. And yet, it never forgot its first mother. The wolf appeared everywhere, in statues, in dreams, in the way the city growled when threatened. Sometimes in the earliest morning, I watched her shadow pass along the water. Or perhaps that was memory wearing fur. The emperors came. Some carried gold. Some carried fire. Some carried madness. Augustus turned illusions into stone. Nero turned music into flame. Trajan turned roads into bloodlines. Hadrian tried to cage the end of the world with walls. But Rome outlived them all. Because cities do not die. They only change names. Rome shed marble. Rome shed crowns. Rome kept its spine. And the wolf remained. Even now, when night wipes the city clean of tourists and noise, when the river forgets itself for a moment, you may hear it, a heartbeat beneath the water, a soft sound between droplets. A mother who never stopped listening. And sometimes, when the moon is thin and the world is honest, I still pass overhead, not to protect it, not to rule it, but to remember. Because even dragons must remember some things. If we are to outlive them. The wolf never left Rome. Not truly. When the empire cracked and dust crept into its veins, when marble flaked and banners faded, when Latin thinned into 100 other tongues, she remained. Not in fur and fang, but in echo. In alleyways where moonlight pooled like silver milk. In doorways where children dreamed of running. In the quiet spaces between footsteps on old stone, I watched her too. Rome fell not in one scream, but in 1,000 sighs. Its aqueducts dried. Its coins lost, faces. Its statues leaned closer to the ground, as if listening for something beneath it. Men said the empire was gone. Rome did not agree. It folded itself inward like an animal in winter, The river never stopped moving, not even when the world forgot how to pronounce its own prayers. The Tiber carried monks instead of senators, bells instead of banners, ash instead of incense. I watched armies trade eagles for crosses. I watched temples exhale saints. I watched the city clothe itself in new myths and call them eternal. The wolf walked beside it all, sometimes only as a feeling, sometimes as a dream. Once, during a winter sharp enough to split bone, she walked the streets in fur again. A baker saw her cross the bridge at dawn. Ribs narrow, eyes bright as old coins, flour dusted his hands, he dropped his bread. No one believed him. That night, the river rose without rain and spared every home worth remembering. Rome learned a different kind of hunger after the empire. It fed on pilgrims, it drank stories, it inhaled grief through ruined arches and exhaled praise through frescoed ceilings. I passed overhead while popes replaced emperors and crowns became keys. Still the wolf remained. I saw her beneath the Colosseum once, long after the screams were bones, and the sand had forgotten its heat. She stood where gladiators used to wait, head tilted toward shadows that no longer fought. She was listening, always listening. When plague swept through the alleys like a black tide, she walked invisibly through. Fear. Dogs lay down when she passed. Dying men dreamed of milk. When fires gutted quarters of Rome and left the air tasting of old wood and prayer, she watched from rooftops, tail brushing the sparks away from children. She did not save the city. She taught it how not to die. Rome learned to grow inward, to make palaces from grief, to carve holiness from stone, to call survival a kind of beauty. The empire faded. The city endured. And when the night feels thin, when the modern noise falls asleep, if you walk the river's edge and breathe slowly, you might sense it. A presence older than marble. A warmth that remembers teeth. A shadow that never learned how to leave. Rome is not haunted. It is held by a mother, by a memory, by a beast who once lay down in moonlight and chose mercy. And I still fly my quiet circles overhead, not guarding, not ruling, only remembering. Because cities that remember their beginnings never truly end. Now, Rome sleeps, and so should you. Let your thoughts loosen like mist from stone. Let the river take your worry. Let the night close its wings around you. I will remain here, where cities dream, where wolves whisper, where time has learned to breathe. Sleep gently, little human. I am watching, and while you rest, little human, the world keeps breathing quietly around you. The stars turn slowly, without asking to be noticed. The rivers practice their endless songs. The old places of the earth whisper to one another beneath moonlight. Perhaps, even now, Rome dreams beneath stone and shadow. Or some other city, older than memory, is stirring beneath sand or sea. I have seen many worlds lean into sleep, as you are doing now. I have watched centuries soften at the edges, the same way your thoughts are softening. Now, it is a good thing to rest, even for dragons, especially for humans. So let the night keep you. Let your dreams wander safely wherever they choose to go. And know this, you are not alone in the dark. Not tonight. Not while I am here. Good night, humans.